Let's now talk about creative non-fiction. This is slightly different from the creative fiction. Usually a story takes its ground within some imaginary event or some reality. But a creative non-fiction always is based on reality. However, we add some fictional elements in order to maintain readers' interest, or in order to make it more readable for the audience. As I said earlier, it takes reality as its origin, as its base, and then it reaches to mind's natural ability, natural skills to build a story on it. So we can say that a creative non-fiction piece would consist of some real experiences, events, or some dramas, and an author's drive would be most of the time association with those events which he intends to describe. Under the umbrella of creative non-fiction, there are so many things which are being written these days. There are memoirs, personal biographies. Then we have meditations on ideas, journals or letters, cultural commentaries, hybrid forms, and even sometimes autobiographical fiction. And there are so many other things which also are known as creative non-fiction. In a piece of creative non-fiction, reality must be transformed into literature, but it still remains recognizable. There are certain concrete facts and realities and historical details which always makes it distinguishable from the elements of fiction or imaginary world which have been added to that story. The basic structure of such writing is usually begin with a paragraph, introductory paragraph, which actually tells us about the theme. Most of the time, the theme of creative non-fiction is mentioned in the first paragraph, which is then followed by a series of paragraphs which tell us about various details related to the theme, or they unfold some piece of some aspects of the story, and they try to present a complete idea or demonstrate some aspect of the theme. There is usually a logic or some serious connection between various paragraphs built within the domain of creative non-fiction writing. And this leads to a final paragraph which summarizes everything which has been mentioned before. So it's quite logically connected piece of writing. And an important structure, indispensable structure of creative non-fiction may be seen as introduction, body, and conclusion. In a creative non-fiction, a writer usually speaks with the audience, with his or her prospective reader, on the behalf of an important social, personal, or environmental issue. And he raises his voice or some general voice regarding those issues. It involves a lot of responsibility because it talks about some serious socio-cultural issues which are afflicting a society or to the world. Creative non-fiction also differs from general non-fiction by its very literariness, its appeal, and also by its expression and construction. It is different from the ordinary non-fiction. The information usually carried in creative non-fiction is also accurate because it is properly researched upon, and the element of imagination is minimum in such information. And it is also scrupulously researched upon. And then we also use the elements of narration, edited dialogues or characterizations, or we also may also add something to the scenes sometimes in order to make it readable. Finding a topic is an important thing in creative non-fiction, and usually this is based on some important aspect of the world we live in or the people which live around us. And then we find some element within those between those people or within the setting we live in, which is unique or new to us, and try to build on a story based on it. For example, you might think of writing about one of your grandparents, but then you realize that the effect of age on memory could be an interesting aspect which would make your story or piece of writing more interesting, and then you would try to hang your story onto it. You will build a story on this single point. Creative non-fiction is also considered to be a literature of hope. As I said earlier, this is being used to talk about various elements of change which are desperately needed in many parts of the world, as it involves journalistic writing, memoirs, autobiography, film, and theater writing as well sometimes. So this is being used for talking about various critical social issues. Therefore, it is considered to be a literature of hope as well. It is a vast domain, yet remains a huge challenge for the writer, because it becomes very difficult to tell the truth while using art as well.